Hi everyone, I'm April, and you're watching The Tangled Cat Speaks, and this is a book edition. Let's see, so I read some stuff, not as much as I thought, but I read some stuff. So let's see. I originally had planned 4, maybe 5 science fiction books to read in September for what I called Sci-Fi September. And I only got to 3 of them. So let's take a look at those. The first one that I did was by Piers Anthony, and it was called Triple Detente. Maybe that's pronounced correctly. I don't know. I didn't really end up liking this one that much. I thought I was going to, but let's talk about it a little bit. It involves 2 different races. I say races, but it's more, I don't know, humans and this alien species, I guess, and they end up forming this sort of pact, or they come to like an agreement that they're going to figure out a way to live together. And I'm not going to go into the details of how they're going to work that out, but they did get it kind of worked out. Then comes along this other set of creatures or aliens or whatever from a whole other planet, and they were going to come and try to invade one of the planets, and that would upset the whole dynamic that they got going on. But they somehow were able to convince this third planet to become part of this whole one species occupies a planet not their own, and it just kind of goes around and all. So it's broken up that way into 3 instead of 2. But there also is a conspiracy, and that just kind of leads to rebellion and all kinds of stuff. And it sounds very intriguing, and it sounds like a really, really good premise. The problem I had with it is the writing style. I didn't particularly care for the way that the author went about it, mostly because it was like a whole lot of chaotic action scenes, and there wasn't a whole lot of really like story. It just felt all over the place and very disconnected, and one minute you're doing this and the next minute you're doing that. We don't really talk about how you got to that new thing, like that new scene. It was just very jumpy, like it was all over the place. I couldn't focus. I think that if this book had been more than, what was this, 175 pages, if this had been maybe double that, maybe not even double that, maybe a little more than 250 or something, if they could have slowed it down a little bit, explained some things a little bit better. But it was just all over the place, and I couldn't really get into it. One of the other books that I didn't get to was also by Piers Anthony, and I'm kind of worried that I'm even gonna like it because I did not like the writing style in this. I'm keeping it for now, and whenever I do get to it, I'm gonna try to give it a chance, because sometimes authors change their writing style from book to book, or even as they grow as writers. So we'll see. But I did not care for this one very much. I finished it. I didn't love it. I loved the premise. I didn't like the execution. Oh well. Then I came to the 2 of the Ron Goulart books. I read Hellquad first, and then I read Suicide Inc. And it turns out that these are both set in the same world. Hellquad is basically what they call this system of 4 planets that are kind of close together. And it turns out that these 4 planets are very it's kind of like the bad side of town. It's just nothing but brothels and gambling dens and just bad people everywhere. And it's kind of described as every planet is worse than the other than the other three. And there was just some espionage kind of going on, and they were trying to figure out what is going on with that. And this was fun. It reminded me, I wish, I can't even think of the name of the movie, but it reminded me of that 80s movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he's on Mars. Total Recall. Kind of reminded me of like that. Like, it's sci-fi. It's got all these weird aliens. They all just kind of mingle together. They're just it's just wild. There's a lot of humanoid cat people, lizard people, just all kinds of stuff. And it's got a lot of very comedic, bantery dialogue, and it was just so fun, and it was just full of action, and it was where this book was taking itself very, very seriously. This one was not. This was like sci-fi comedy, like I said, Total Recall. What else had funny sci-fi comedy? Spaceballs. I'm trying to think of something more recent that might be kind of akin to that, but it was so fun, and I just had a really good time. Then I got to Suicide Inc., and this did mention the planets in Hellquad, but it's in a whole other system. I can't remember the name of the system that it's in, but this guy is he's like not really a spy, but just somebody you can, not really a private eye either, but if you want somebody found, you kind of call this guy, because there's somebody who was in their company was involved in creating some special technology, and they didn't have it all. It was saved in the brains of these people who lived in sort of like a orphanage or halfway house kind of thing, and when they were young, and it was parts of the information on this technology was put into each of these people, so nobody had the full information. It was put into their brains. They didn't even know about it. It was done under hypnosis. So each of these people had a piece of this puzzle to this new technology, and somebody's trying to, and some of them have been murdered, so they're trying to try to round up the ones that are still alive, and then figure out who's doing the murdering. Again, this one had that funny comedic sci-fi element. It was so cool. And it turns out that Ron Goulart has a lot of other books set in both the Hellquad and the system that this, I can't remember the name of the system that this one is in, but it's there's several other books that are in the same kind of world, and part of me wants to go to the there's a used bookstore in a couple towns over from Albuquerque. It's called the town of Bernalillo, and there's a bookstore there called Under Charlie's Covers. It's a very funny bookstore name, but they have a lot of these old type of sci-fi books. And at the time, I thought these were standalones, which they kind of are, but they are set in a world that belongs in other series. So part of me wants to go try to hunt those down, because I really, really enjoyed these, but we shall see if I end up making it to that bookstore. But I had a good time. So as far as audiobooks, I listened to The Will of the Many by James Islington. I had a good time with that. I really, really liked it. It took me a little bit to get into it, and I think partly it was because it's futuristic, but it's their society and their hierarchy and everything is just kind of based around ancient Rome. So it was kind of throwing me off because I kept thinking ancient Rome, but then they're talking about all of these futuristic kind of things, and there's a little bit of a magic element in there. And this magic partly involves will, and the will is used to power their magic. And it's kind of like a pyramid scheme kind of thing. You've got the lower ranking people who have, there's a lot of them. And then as you go to the next rank, and then it kind of forms like a small pyramid. The ones at the top of the pyramid have the most magical power, but not because they just have it. The ones in the lower tiers will their magic to them, and sometimes it's done with consent and sometimes it's not. And so it follows this one guy. He's in a school. I don't know if it's like high school age or maybe early college age. I didn't really pay attention to that part, but he's in this school and he's actually undercover because it turns out that his whole family had been murdered, and he's trying to figure out who and why and all of that stuff. But he is still having to go through these classes and do all of these different tests and tasks and stuff. And I'm trying to not be very detailed about it because it's really, really cool, and I do recommend it. It's a really, really good book, and I think the sequel is coming out. I don't know if it's going to be a duology or a trilogy or more than that. I don't know, but I did enjoy it. And the other cool thing about it is my son had just recently read it, and so we kind of had a couple of conversations back and forth about what was going on, and it was cool. That was the first time that happened, so I had a good time. Definitely gonna be looking forward to the second book in the series. So that was the audio. As far as ebooks, I'm still slowly getting through the case files of Aldous Vescard. There's a bunch of short stories that are kind of set in like a steampunk era kind of thing, but it involves also some magic. So it's slow going just because I just don't have a lot of time to eyeball read a physical book and an ebook. So I'm still doing that, and I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm on chapter 5 now. There's like, I think maybe 20 something chapters. They're short, but I don't always have time to pull out my ebook. So that brings us to October now. So let's see, September was Sci-Fi September. So I have dubbed October as chills, thrills, and old ass books. So chills would be your horror, and thrills would be a thriller, and old ass books are going to be books that are just older than dirt. Probably before 1920. So I did my little random number generator with my different numbered shells, and for my thriller, I ended up with The Poseidon Adventure by Paul Gallico. Now, I have seen both versions of the movie, and I really enjoyed it. And I've had this book for quite a while, and I was really excited to finally be able to read it. And I actually started it today, and I'm on chapter 3. And oh my God, I'm already stressed. I am so stressed. Like, they got into the chaos almost immediately. So far, I'm like, oh, it's so good. And I'm just, I know I'm going to enjoy this. I can already tell. So I'm having a really good time, but I'm trying to pace myself. I think it's got 25, 26 chapters, something like that. So I'm trying to do a chapter a day, but like I said, I kind of couldn't help it. I did 3 chapters today, so I'm a little ahead, but that's good because the other book that I came to is the one for the old ass books category for October, and that is this one, The Tale of Genchi by, how do you pronounce the name? Murasaki Shibiku. And this is it is an old Japanese book or novel, and it has been I've got the translation by Dennis Washburn. This is so heavy. It's huge. Over 1,300 pages. I did not smile at my random number generator when I realized that it picked this book off my shelves. But we're going with it. That's what I said I was going to do, so that's what I'm doing. Now this has 54, 55 chapters, but they're all really long chapters. Now when I say this is over 1,300 pages, this also has itty bitty font. So it's longer than, I mean, if it was in normal people size font, it would be even bigger. I know that the audiobook on Audible is broken up into 2 volumes because this is so long. And this is a huge book, and it's very, very cool. Now, talking about it being an old ass book, let's see. I think it was 1910. Well, this version was published in 2015, but the book itself, the story itself, hold on, I wrote it down somewhere. I thought it was in the book, but it is not. I think it's 1910. I'm gonna get a list here. This is my list of all my bookshelves and what's on each shelf. Hold on, just take me a minute. Relax, talk amongst yourselves. It's gonna be all right. It's the 10 bookshelf. Somewhere beyond the sea, somewhere. Oh no, stop that, April. It's here somewhere. Jeez Louise. Oh, it's right there in front of my face. 1914. It was originally written in 1914. According to something online. I don't know. It's not on the book itself. Anyway, so I'm not sure what this is even about. Let's see. The back of this is only talking about the translation person. It doesn't really say what it's about, just that it's it's historical fiction, so that's cool. Yeah, this talks mostly about what the translation style is. But apparently there's a lot of imperial court culture. It doesn't really say what it's about, so I don't know. I originally got this because it was at the same used bookstore under Charlie's Covers. And I just saw the cover and I thought, that's cool. That looks interesting. Literally bought another book just based on the cover. But I'm excited to get into it. I did go ahead and get the Kindle version because reading from that big, heavy book is not going to be doable. And I don't think I'm going to part with this when I'm done either. So I'm keeping it just because it's pretty. But I am going to start the first chapter tonight. I'm going to try to read a chapter a day so that I can get it done in less than 2 months. Because this is definitely going to be flowing over into November. But, oh well. Now, as far as the chills part of October, the horror, I want to listen to a an audiobook called The Unworthy, and I'm going to have to put a picture of it and the name of the author up here because I don't remember. I think it's vampires. Or maybe it's ghosts. I don't remember. But I know that it's a horror, and this is not an audiobook that I own. I'm waiting for it to become available on Libby through my library, my local library. So when that comes in, I'm going to be listening to that. In the meantime, I am listening to the audiobook Aftertaste, which is involving, I talked a little bit about it last time, I think. It's involving a guy who is able to, like, ghosts kind of communicate with him in that when he's around them, he can taste their favorite food. And I'm just barely starting it, so I'm still trying to figure out what all of that means. But I mean, it's ghosts, so that kind of fits with October. But I don't think it's not a chiller. It's not a horror. But when my horror comes available, I will be listening to The Unworthy. And that is all I have as far as books are concerned. Let's see. I am watching Alice in Borderland. I did the first 2 seasons as a rewatch leading up to season 3 coming out. And so now I'm about 5 episodes into the 3rd season of Alice in Borderland, and I'm loving it. Loving it. Let's see. And then let's see, anime. I've been watching I think I'm done. I think Kaiju number 8 is completely done for now. I don't know if they're going to do another season sometime in the future, but I am caught up with that one. I'm watching another one. I don't remember what it is, but I'm enjoying it, and I'll put the name up here. I'm also studying Korean by myself, so I've got, actually, you are sitting on top of the workbook and the handbook, the instruction learning book, and then the how to write the characters. The characters are called Hangul. Anyway, so I've got those books underneath you right now. So that's also what I've been into, and I've been into puzzles as well. I will put a picture of the puzzle that I just put up. I just finished it a little bit ago and glued it, and I got a frame for it, and it's up on my wall. It's a puzzle that I had created just for my cat Agatha that I used to have several years ago, and she had passed away, so I had this puzzle made of her with different photos that I had kept. So it's up on my wall. I do have another puzzle. This also has her on it, but it has my two most recent other cats. So this is Aggie. She's the one that's in the other puzzle that I just finished. This is the cat that I have now. This is Freya. She's the one that she's right there. She's actually being a good girl. And then this was Emrys. He has also passed away. Look, he's so handsome. He is so handsome. So I'm going to be working on this one. This is a much smaller puzzle, and it has bigger pieces too. So this hopefully will go a little bit quicker, but super excited. So yeah, that's all I've been up to. The weather's getting cooler, and I'm drinking some hot tea and snuggling under a blanket that I'm knitting, and just chilling. I do love fall. It's my favorite season, so yay. That's all I have to talk about for right now. I am going to do another video of the yarny stuff that I've been into, so if you want to come check that out, it'll be up just after this one. But thank you for spending a little bit of time with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.